My name's Patricia, and I am a very gratefully recovering bulimic, and I weigh and measure 3 meals a day, and food addict, definitely. And I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I call them into my sponsor. I don't eat between my meals no matter what. I make calls when weird things happen with my food, and gray sheet abstinence is the most important thing in my life without any exceptions. The only reason I am alive today is because of Gray Sheet and this program. Um, I wanted to make sure that I said I was a food addict because the bulimia wasn't a mental disorder. It wasn't something that I could go to therapy for and it would just go away. It wasn't the result of family distress or whatever. It was a result of being a food addict, and I thought I was going to outsmart it by learning how to throw the food back up so that I wouldn't have to bear the consequences of the binges. So really, the root cause of the bulimia was the food addiction. And I struggled for a long time thinking that there was something mentally, emotionally wrong with me. I tried all sorts of things. I went to therapy. I went to group therapy. I read self-help books. I didn't have a lot of money, so I never went to like these diet programs. It wasn't really about the diet for me. I didn't diet for that long, actually. I think I started dieting maybe around 14 or 15, and then by the time I was 16, I had learned to throw up. And once I had learned to throw up, everything else, it changed everything. Because then the insanity in my head, the voice changed. It changed from, you're not going to eat, don't eat, you're fat, don't eat, to, and by the way, I wasn't thin, to, well, you can have that because you're just going to bring it back up. So why don't you just have the whole thing? And you know what? Why don't you just go for broke? Just have whatever you want. Have the most. Have all the stuff you never let yourself eat before because you're just going to bring it up. And that was not how it worked. I was not in control. I was not a thin bulimic because as soon as I started that, what happened was first of all, I couldn't stop and I couldn't control it. Like I couldn't control when it would happen. And it started to happen more and more frequently. Instead of just a one-time, once in a while type of thing, it began to be every couple of days, and then every other day, and then every day, and then every couple, and then 2 times a day, twice in a night. And I couldn't, I mean, it was really getting in the way of my life. I remember being in San Diego and starting a binge before I had to get on the plane to go to my sister's wedding, and seriously thinking, do I have to go and stand up for my sister's wedding? Do I have to be her maid of honor? Can I just tell her I'm not well enough? Because by this time they all knew, and they all knew what I was struggling with. And but yeah, my life has been a series of just missed opportunities, lack of relationships, because when I was doing this, I couldn't be social. I couldn't do what I was doing in front of other people. When I finally hit bottom, this was in Tucson in 2003 or whenever, I had 0 friends. I had quit OA because, I was in OA back when I lived in New Jersey. And they I weighed and measured my food, but when I look back and saw what I was weighing and measuring, it was carbs. It was vegetable carbs and some other carbs. And of course, I was white knuckling it the whole time, and I couldn't stay stopped. I could stop for a little while, but I could not stay stopped. And I just intuitively knew something was wrong. So I tried to distract myself with many other things, other addictions, and that didn't work. It was me. I don't know the story about the little boy who sticks his fingers in the dam trying to make it, stop it from bursting. But that's what it felt like. It was just this temporary Band-Aid before something bad was going to happen. And it did. It all hell broke loose after I got to Tucson. I gave up smoking. I gave up drugs and drinking. And I couldn't stop the binging and purging and the overeating, and it was a nightmare. I'm skipping a lot of story, but in 15 minutes, whatever. But basically, I binged and purged for over, I want to say, like 15 years, something like that. I should do the math. And you can imagine the amount of damage I've done to my body, my teeth, my digestive tract, my throat. And I was a compulsive exerciser too. So I would run and run and run. And actually now I'm having a lot of problems with my feet. And I can only imagine that maybe it was from what I did to myself. Where do I want to go? So what happened? Well, in the end, I was afraid of losing my job. I had quit OA in Tucson because nobody weighed and measured there, and it was just all about God and religion and pray and do this and do that. And it was like, it's not working. It's not working. It's not helping. And so I quit OA and I went to AA because I thought, well, I'm not doing the steps hard enough or right enough or whatever. So I'm going to go find the biggest big book thumper, toughest sponsor. And I found this like short little woman heroin addict named Cindy. And she was tough as you know what. And so we worked that big book like there was no tomorrow. And I was so willing. I was even willing to change I was like, everybody was religious. I'm like, I don't care. I'll do whatever. And and I still couldn't stay stopped. I still could not stop. And I didn't know what else to do. I went through all 12 steps with her. I got to the end and she wanted me to work with women alcoholics. And I said, I don't have it to give away. And she didn't get that. She said, oh, you're being too perfect. Da, 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 da. So I switched to this other woman who basically told me, stop trying to do what you cannot do. And I was like, what? It sounded like some Zen koan. I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. She's like, stop trying to do what you cannot do. And I said, I guess I can't control my food. You want me to stop trying to control my food? She said, yes. And I was like, all right. And then I went to the store and I got this huge binge. And I, of course, binged and purged and purged and purged and purged and purged. And I was a mess. I was bleeding rectally. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I could move my teeth with my tongue. I was no longer puking in the toilet because that was way too messy and hard. And I had to, it was just too hard. So I would go in the shower and I started puking down the shower drain. And a couple of times I blacked out in the shower from the electrolyte imbalance thingy. And that was kind of scary. I didn't shower. I mean, I started to have to call out sick on Monday. I had no friends. My AA sponsor, my new AA sponsor said, I can't sponsor you. You are drunk with the food. And so I was alone. I was completely alone and I didn't know what to do. And it scared the hell out of me. I called 911 and they told me, and I told them I want to die. And they said, we cannot help you. Well, first of all, they said, do you have a plan? Do you have an actionable plan? And I said, no. And they said, well, we can't help you. I'm sorry. And I was like, what? I don't know. I was like, oh my God, like I can't even get help if I want somebody to put me like in an institution and like do something. I don't know what I want, but it wasn't happening. And so I Just by a stroke of luck, that last AA sponsor said, well, there's this woman, she's on our Big Book Step Study meeting on the phone. It was a phone meeting, which were kind of novel back then. And she said, I want you to talk to her. And I'm like, it's not going to work. I can't, all the food programs are the same. So she said, just talk to her. So I called the lady, and she basically I had my little flip phone, those. Anyway, she said, tell me what's in your fridge. And I told her, and I listed these things that normies would say are very healthy, but they were all carbs. They were all carbs. And she didn't tell me what she was going to, I didn't know why I was telling her yet. And she said, okay, I want you to, do you have a plastic bag, a grocery bag? And I said, yes. And I immediately knew where it was going. And she was like, okay, I want you to put this in the bag. And I'm going to stay on the phone with you while you walk it out to the dumpster, and you're going to throw it in the back of the dumpster. And I just started bawling. And she, I had to go to the store and get all new food. And I was just beside myself with fear, first of all, because anytime I walked into a grocery store, I always had the best intentions, and then I would walk out with all the stuff I would binge on. So I did. I got the right stuff. I came back. I already had a scale. I weighed and measured my next meal. I don't remember. It's a very big fog. And that was the start. I did go back to day one a couple of times due to one time not finishing my lunch because I was with somebody. So I'm very codependent, unfortunately. And so they had finished eating and I still had a long time to go, and I didn't want to look odd. So I packed up my lunch and I said, oh, we can walk back to the office. I'll eat it there. And that wasn't allowable. And then the other time was with a soft drink that was diet, but it still had it was a willful thing. I drank it and then I looked at the ingredients, and I should have made a phone call right then because there was something in it that we don't eat. And I drank another like swig or two, and then I called, and that was willful. So, but I'm very lucky for whatever reason. I don't even pretend. I don't even want to pretend to know why I'm abstinent today. I don't. It is a power unfathomable to me, and I don't know why I have it, and some people can't get it. All I can say is I feel so incredibly grateful. I really think that I would not be alive. Everything I have today is because I'm abstinent, and the things I do, I don't know if they work, but I'm still doing them. I'm still doing these things because I hope that they're keeping me abstinent. Now, because I'm in so many other programs, my sponsor has okayed it, but I make 2 phone calls a day. Originally it was 3. Actually, I was a compulsive phone caller, and that's what helped me to get abstinent. I just kept calling and calling and calling people until the 4 hours would pass between meals. And people would just babysit me and talk to me on the phone because I'm in an outpost. I didn't have any live meetings. I did not work the steps right away. My sponsor said she had a lot of years. She was from Cambridge, and I just did what she said. She said, don't worry about it. I want you to focus on weighing and measuring your food through any and all circumstances, and don't listen to anybody else. Just focus on your food. So that's what I did. And one day at a time, I've made it to today. And what else do I want to share that helps my program? Speaking, sharing my story keeps it green. Going to meetings, a couple meetings a week I go to, 2, if not mostly 2 regular ones where the people that I go to the meetings with, they are my tribe. We're very close.
2 minutes.
Thank you. In my mantra, you heard me say I make calls when weird things happen. I need to make calls when anything, like something falls out of the Tupperware, something's on the scale, I don't know if I weighed it or not. I see a different, I think I see a different number on the scale before it shuts off right out of the, like anything. What else? I have gotten into other programs because I feel like they help me to stay, to reduce my stress in other areas of my life. And my whole thing is, if I can reduce some of these other areas of acting out, I really believe that it makes my, it calms me and leads to less franticness and less this and that. And so I think that helps my food program. And I don't know what else to say except that I just feel so grateful. And there's some people on this phone call right now who were there for me in the beginning and pretty much all along whenever I call. And I cannot do this program alone. I owe Gray Sheet, I owe you guys my life, and I'm just really grateful for that today. And I hope to be able to give back what I've been given. Thanks for letting me share.